What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, this is a little bit of an urgent video. I don't know if I would say it's a full-on emergency type video, but it is something that we do have to talk about because obviously if you're looking at these other channels or going on Twitter, you're probably hearing a lot of people freaking out, doom and gloom, because let me just pull up the chart right here. As you guys can see, we actually attempted, right? We had these two crosses right here, but then what happened? You could see we had a little bit of this support. There was that hesitancy, and then Bitcoin did start falling through. Now, in all fairness, I know that you can shift these lines. You could try to make them in whatever favor that you want, right? If you want to go from peak to peak like this, you know, some people move it down here and say, oh no, we're doing fine, right? Well, look, it doesn't really matter where you move the line. The reality is that this upwards trend broke, right? So you can move this line all you want, all over the place, but this was a very, very clear, distinct trend. And we did, in fact, break it down. Now, listen, we've had these breakdowns before, and as I've been trying to tell people, we are not in a full-on parabolic bull run yet, okay? We had talked about this choppiness that may happen from now through the halving into afterwards. So you're going to get these trends, and then they're going to break, and they're going to form new trends. And the reason this is happening is because we're not in the parabolic run. But of course, there is a lot of doom and gloom, naysayers, and obviously a lot that's going on geopolitically. We don't need to discuss it again, but I think you know what I'm talking about. So what I want to do today is make a very quick video, not necessarily urgent or, you know, emergency, although I kind of want to get this out quick because I know there is a lot of doom and gloom all over the internet. As soon as price structure breaks, that's it. We're going down to 12,500. So what I want to do is show you exactly what I'm looking at. I also want to show you a clip from Paul Tudor Jones, you know, worth over $8 billion, who he may have slipped up a little bit when he was talking. He may have kind of gave us hints as to what may happen. And also, I just want to let you guys know, I don't really talk about this a lot, but you know, you have these exchanges, you have the media, you have these people that are trading $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, whatever. But the big OTC desks, the ones that nobody really knows about, that are dealing with high net worth individuals, and we're talking millions and millions of dollars that are traded OTC, that aren't even reflected oftentimes in the market, and generally nobody knows. Well, I speak to these people literally on a daily basis. Like almost every day, I have some form of a conversation with some of these people from the desks, and they have told me what they're seeing in the background, and they're very transparent about whether we should be worrying or whether we should be freaking out. So what I want to do is I want to hop into the charts, show you what I'm looking at, show you what we need to pay attention to, play that clip, and stick to the very end because I'm going to let you know exactly what is really happening in the background and the most likely outcome of this scenario. So if that sounds good to you, you know what to do. Let's hop into the charts today, guys, because I think that is a great place to start. Oh, but side note, this came out.
A lot of the people who watch us, I'd say the vast majority, other than the hedge funds, are searching for ways not to lose money, but to make money. I can't go out with gold because gold's not good. I can't go out with Bitcoin because I just can't get on the... I can't be in something that where Mr. Bitcoin is about to go down big.
So I don't know, if Jim Cramer's bearish, does that mean we all get bullish? I mean, that's kind of like the meme, right? But all right, seriously now, let's hop in. So obviously we did have the dollar that started breaking down. It had this resistance off of this parallel channel, and also it also had a rising wedge inside of a parallel channel. Now, of course, nothing goes down in a straight line. Is this the reversal that we're looking for? Not quite sure, but the fact that we did have this dollar rally was quite interesting based off the PPI data, because you can see right here, we actually had the stock market open, right, at around, you know, at around 43.65, had a small pump, and now it's attempting to retest this heart line, and unfortunately, it's clearly dragging Bitcoin down even harder with it. You could see Bitcoin had been forming a perfect channel right here. We had been bouncing, and right here, it looks like we may be falling down. Now, of course, we knew that this was happening because we had, you know, some of this resistance that was holding us down right here, and we also have the secondary resistance, which may end up acting as support. But let me just simplify this all a little bit for you because, you know, there's a lot of lines all over the place. But essentially, what you're looking at is we had this major trend, and I'm not saying that this isn't significant or not, right? We had this trend right here. This was an upwards trend, and that trend got broken, and we continued to consolidate sideways. And then what we did, let me get that off, and then what we did was we formed a smaller trend, and we broke out of that trend. Now, as you could see, we've talked about the significance of this Terra Luna wick. Now, I didn't know if we were going to go back down to this level again, but you could see how it was acting as that resistance here, and then it became the support over here, and it still maintains support over here, and currently right here, if we do have the breakout, that may be that final test of consolidation. So we have never actually ever ruled $25,300 out of the cards, and we knew that we could only continue this bouncing around between the 100 and the 200 for so long. But here is the kicker. There is actually something happening for Bitcoin that it honestly looks like it may be unavoidable, and it's something that we've never, and this isn't like clickbait or anything like that, we have never seen Bitcoin ever do this in its history. Technically, it hasn't done it yet, but if it does happen, what could the implications be, right? So that's what we want to kind of talk about. Obviously, you could see we are still in this upwards trend. It's not hard to see that. We are still continuing to put in higher highs and higher lows. I mean, you have this here, you have this here, and you have this here, right? So the market structure is still maintaining on the macro. I mean, you could take this trend all the way back to November of last year. So obviously, the longer trend always outweighs the shorter trend. Now, if you want to, you want to really nitpick, well, then yes, the long trend, from up here, clearly we're going down. You want to nitpick even further, well, the long trend, I don't have the whole chart on this, obviously, is going up, but I'm making a mess of the trends over here. But you can see that, yes, we do have the CME futures gap, which I'm not taking as important necessarily as a lot of other people are, based on the fact that it was formed on the closing of a previous gap. But this is the thing that we have never seen before. Now, if we zoom in right here, these are some very, very major moving averages that you probably see every YouTuber, every person talking about, so I'm not showing you anything that's some magic trend that nobody talks about, but it's very obvious that we've lost this 200 right here, right? And it's also the fact that we're getting supported on the 200 EMA has been good so far. But again, let me get rid of these. Again, let me get rid of this, and let me even simplify it for you. Let me get rid of the let me get rid of this 50, okay? And let me get rid of this EMA. Now, just looking at this right here, this right here, as you guys can see, is the 100 that is looking to potentially cross below the 200. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, and I'm not trying to be a bear, and I know people are like, oh, you're flip-flopping all over the place. No, I'm not. I still genuinely think we're not going to put in lower lows. I don't think you're going to see Bitcoin go down to these levels again, and I'll explain why at the end of the video. But you do see these types of corrections. But something that is a little bit concerning is, if we actually go into Bitcoin's entire history right here, you could see that at no point have these ever crossed. We've had them come very close, right? Very, very close down here, right? We've had them also come a little bit close down here, but we've never actually seen them cross. So this would be the first ever death cross on the weekly for the 100 and the 200. Now, I don't want you freaking out immediately, because you might be able to take this one with a grain of salt. And the fact is if we look at what they have done, even though they've never actually officially touched, you could see that the closer areas, obviously not a lot of data back here, right? But right here, look at this. They came the absolute closest that they were, and this was actually an excellent opportunity. We had that sideways consolidation. The lows were in. We never put in newer lows, and that actually led us into the next run. Same thing right here. They got very, very close. The lows were in. We never actually ended up getting we got close to it on the COVID crash, but we never put it in, and we continued to the upside. So is there a possibility of just a fake out, right? We have this quick dip. Everybody gets faked off sides. Oh my goodness, this has never happened before. And then we continue to the upside. Or is it something that we should actually worry about? Because if you have a look at these Bollinger Bands, they do tend to fake people out. This is the whole idea behind these markets, is to get people off sides, to get you freaked out, to get you worried, and then to pull the rug from under you. And what you tend to see sometimes, if you have sort of an analysis of these Bollinger Bands, what they tend to do is they actually start to break below the basis, and then they actually go to the other side, right? You can see right here, we're breaking below the basis. Oh my goodness, we're going to fall. Boom, pump to the upside. We're breaking above the basis. Amazing, amazing. Well, oh, we're going to go to the downside, right? So right now we're in a little bit of no man's land. So you could argue, until we have confirmation on the break to the downside, is this in fact just a fake out? Because you could see right here, we have this big, this big move, this big move, this big move, but we haven't really had that big move yet. This is not a big move, guys. A big move is something like this, right? You get these Bollinger Bands doing something like this, right? Something like this, and that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing the start of potential expansion, but we're not seeing the actual physical breakout. And again, keep in mind that we did point out that Market Cipher was in fact showing us that we do have a bit of an anchor wave and a trigger wave, showing us that we are shifting a little bit of momentum to the downside. However, if we have a look, we look at this wave right here, and look at how close they are. Now look at this wave here, and this wave here. This is a longer pattern that has consisted over more time with more waves, and you've actually seen the money flow flowing up to the top side, right? Which, by the way, guys, if you want to check out Market Cipher, it's a really cool indicator. I'm sure you guys have seen it on other channels. Crypto Face, he's the guy that made it. He's actually a friend of mine, and yeah, I really enjoy this for that extra confirmation. And of course, if you guys want to learn to trade, you guys already know the drill. We do have the tutorials above, but that doesn't really matter right now. What matters is this level right here. So the the odds of falling below this $23,000 level after this massive VRVP accumulation here would be quite surprising. And again, I'm going to get into why this is important at the end of the video, because you could see the volume, you can see all the, well, we don't know really if it's accumulation, it could be buying or selling, but there's interest there. There's clearly interest there, right? So again, moving on over here, again, VRVP right here, and we've talked about this time and time again. I've had this chart up literally for months and months, that these are a falling wedge pattern, which generally does break to the upside. But of course, because we are not in a full-on parabolic bull trend, it is not impossible to see some of these levels chop back down, chop people sideways. This is the type of market that we're in right now, the type of market that freaks people out, makes them second guess themselves. But again, at the end of the day, if you're not losing any of the major long-term macro structures, again, losing a smaller term one, okay, I get it, but losing a long-term structure, this long-term structure from 2017, never been lost. COVID dipped below it, bounced right back above it the next week. That was the only time we ever went below it. This one, from the COVID bottom all the way to where we had this ultimate bottom, which we had that intersection, we never went below that level. And even taking that level and extending it out to this lower blue line, we've never lost that level. So until you start losing some of these longer term levels, it doesn't matter if we fall below 25 and we go down to 23. In fact, according to this chart, we could go down to $21,400 and still technically be in a bullish formation, okay? Until that is lost, you can't start getting bearish. If you want to day trade this, fine. If you want to trade, some of these areas, some of these resistances, fine. We knew that we were going to get rejected up here. It would be very, 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 very unlikely for a structure that literally started forming back in January of 2021 and broke down in June of 2022 to not see some form of resistance, unless some crazy news came out, right? But this is the thing. If you have a look at this data, in 2023, for the first time, Bitcoin's history, we have over 50% of the total supply held by long-term holders of 2+ years. The previous bull market high was set in 2016, and the price of Bitcoin increased 20x. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate and say, forget about this purple. Just completely forget about that, because you know what? Let's be honest. A lot of this Bitcoin that's over 10 years old, it probably came from these accounts, people that were mining Bitcoin, back when it was less than $1. They probably threw out their laptop. So they're not really hodling by choice. They're hodling because they lost their private keys, they lost their laptops, or they just don't, or I don't know, the Bitcoin is just lost, right? So, but I do look at some of these more fresh ones, right? Looking at these 5 years, looking at these 3 years, and these are clearly showing that hodlers are in fact holding. And at the same time, if we have a look at what's going on, this is from Sentiment, we have Tether supply on exchanges returning to the highest levels since March as trader buying power rises. So again, you have to follow what the money is doing. Go back here, you're seeing holding at some of its highest, it's technically not its highest levels, but really at its highest levels in a very long time. I mean, you can see down here, they were super low back in the end of 2019. And then we come over here and we're seeing the highest levels of, Tether on exchanges. Now, why would people be keeping Tether on exchanges? A 5-year-old can figure this out, right? This is what they're looking for. They're waiting to buy those dips. They're hoping that you will be sort of shaken out of your positions and you will sell them, and they are waiting to catch it, which is why every time we've seen it fall below these levels, we've seen the price get pushed immediately back up, which again explains why we've seen such a large volume range profile, which is again why I think falling below those levels is completely illogical. It doesn't make sense to have all this accumulation over all these periods of time, only to then just, okay, I'm just going to panic sell now after holding it, since I've been accumulating. It's not logical, guys. And if you look over here, Paul Tudor Jones, who again is worth over $8.1 billion, he was over on, CNBC, and listen to what he had to say.
I said I wanted to talk about Robinhood, but I also just looked on the screen behind you, and I saw the price of Bitcoin. And I know every time we've spoken, you've had a take on Bitcoin. Do you have a new take? Still holding?
I think now the barbarous relics, and I would lump gold and Bitcoin together. I think they probably take on a larger percentage of your portfolio than historically they would, because we're going to go through both a challenging political time here in the United States, and we're going to go through, we've obviously got a geopolitical situation. So I would say,
but high interest rates were supposed to be the thing that was actually going to be unhelpful to Bitcoin.
Well, and I think on a relative basis, look what's happened to gold. It actually has been. Clearly, it suppressed it. So You know that more likely than not we're going to go into recession. There's some pretty clear-cut recession trades. The easiest are the yield curve gets really steep, term premium goes into the back ends of debt markets, right, into 30-year and 10-year and 7-year paper. The stock market typically right before a recession declines about 12%. That's probably going to happen at some point from some level. And you look at the big shorts in gold, more likely than not in a recession, the market's typically really long assets like Bitcoin and gold. So there's probably a $40 billion worth of buying that has to come in to gold at some point between now and if that recession actually occurs. So yeah, I like Bitcoin and I like gold right here.
So does Paul Tudor Jones know something that we don't? Now, again, I'm sure someone in the comments is like, oh, we're going to trust these billionaires? Yeah, they just want to use us as exit liquidity. Well, if you've been following Paul Tudor Jones, he's actually been holding. He held up to the top, he held down to the bottom, and he thinks that now gold and Bitcoin should in fact be lumped into the same category. So what would be the advantage to Paul Tudor Jones holding all the way down from 70K, all the way down to 15, only then to just try to fake people off sides and sell it around 27, 26, 25? That is illogical. Does he know something that we don't? We had those BlackRock officials coming out saying, or the ex-officials saying that we could see a Bitcoin spot ETF approved within the next 3 to 6 months. Of course, we have one potentially this weekend, which probably won't get approved, but I mean, if it does, that'd be pretty amazing. It would, but I'd probably not going to happen. But ultimately, maybe he knows something that we don't. And this is what brings me to the fact that, again, I wanted to express to you, I talk to these over-the-counter desks all the time, right? And I asked them, straight up, honestly, like, they don't care about me. I'm a little fish. Trust me, like, people think I got money, like, but really, compared to these other people, I'm broke as hell, really, when you compare to these high net worth individuals. But, I have good relationships with them, and they tell me what's going on. And they have literally told me that all the people that were looking to sell their Bitcoin have already basically sold it. Right? Of course, you can have those little speculations. Of course, the news can come out, Binance can collapse, but they said that all they're getting is people that are coming in trying to buy Bitcoin. In fact, I have a friend of mine who does very, very well. He has a lot of money, and he was sitting on a lot of cash, actually, and just recently, he started accumulating. Now, why did he start accumulating at these levels versus the lower levels? I don't know. Maybe he was waiting for a confirmation, but even he's getting that sort of FOMO of, man, I need to start getting this allocation. And I've also heard, I'm not going to mention the exchange because I don't want to talk about, maybe I could get some of these guys on the show. I mean, that would be like from the source, right? If I could just get one of these guys on my show, then it's not me spreading rumors. I can just get someone to explain to you what's happening. Maybe I'll do that. That would be pretty cool, actually. But yeah, so anyway, but what these guys are telling me is that they're actually having difficulty settling OTC large exchange amounts. Like, they're having guys that are coming in that want to do, and I'm not making these numbers up, guys, like $30 million, okay? And they're having difficulty. Like, they can't find enough Bitcoin that they could actually use OTC without, moving the price. So they kind of have to do it slowly, which is why you're not seeing it happen. Again, this leads into the ETF. Once we get that ETF, right now, these OTC guys, they can kind of take a little bit of time and, kind of source from a few different exchanges. If you're patient enough, we can get you a good deal. But once this ETF comes and they actually physically have to have the Bitcoin spot one-to-one, I think it's every Friday, they have to make sure that, they have the exact same amount that is supposed to be held under custody in actual custody. Once you actually have no freaking choice, you have no choice but to actually settle that and make sure that you have that one-to-one, that's when you're going to see that margin get small. That's when you're going to get that God candle. And for everyone that's freaking out over all of this right now, you have to read between the lines. This is what they do. I mean, yes, this time is different. Yes, there's geopolitical tension. Yes, there's always uncertainties. I'm not pretending to be Nostradamus. I'm just telling you guys, I have been through multiple cycles in these markets, and I've seen over and over and over again the way that these games get played. And this is some of the biggest catalysts that we've ever seen. So if you're going to get scared now, I don't know what you waited so long to get. If you were going to sell your Bitcoin, why didn't you, we've had years. We've had years to sell our Bitcoin above these levels. I believe there may be an opportunity. Maybe these guys get their crash. Maybe they get their wick. But again, going back to all that Bitcoin on the exchange, going back to all that stablecoins on the exchanges, why do you think it's there? You think it's just there to just be there? They just want to hold their stable coins on exchanges? No, it's to buy the dip. Just logically. Think about it logically, right? So even if we go down to that 21,000 area that I showed you, that could be some of the last opportunities to buy, okay? Not financial advice. I'm only here because I want to help people understand that this opportunity is probably not going to come around again after this. And the average person is not going to be able to hold Bitcoin. And I just wanted to end on one also just side note story. You know, BlackRock has leveraged JP Morgan's new blockchain tools for instant collateral settlement with Barclays. JP Morgan has said the technology has the potential to enhance efficiency by unlocking capital for use as collateral in ongoing transactions. So again, testing out blockchain solutions. BlackRock coming in with the spot Bitcoin ETFs. All of a sudden, the ESG people are all friendly. Bitcoin used to be terrible for the environment. Now it's the best thing ever, right? See what's going on. Don't let, I mean, I'm not saying leverage your house. I'm not saying, you know, sell your everything and don't pay your bills. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is being scared to buy now is silly. If you're, I'm going to wait for it to go down to 10. What, you want a 99% discount? I mean, come on. How many times do you think the markets are really going to give you those opportunities? So again, guys, that's basically all I wanted to say today. You know, I like to keep positive light on things, and it doesn't mean that we can't go lower. There is nothing in the charts that says we can't go down to those levels, but going down to the previous low, you want a $15,500 Bitcoin? Not going to happen. I mean, you can quote me on it, unless like, you know, the whole world war, whatever crazy thing, and maybe, I don't know. There's always that could happen. Okay. But from a structural standpoint, from a fundamental standpoint, from a standpoint of just literally what I'm hearing and the people that I'm talking to, it does not make sense to go down to those levels. So this is probably like an extremely aggressive video, really just for a small 2% move. But I know how people get when, you know, something gets broken and we fall, and then, you know, instantly the perma bears are like, that's it, guys. You know, we're going to 10K, we're going to, I heard people say like 3K, which is just absolutely insane. That would just be, if we went to 3K, I would accept that this is a completely failed experiment, and I would be very sad because, yeah, I think Bitcoin is our last, I just broke something right here. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. Hope you enjoyed this video. Trolls, haters, if you want to drop your comments and, you know, just tell me I'm wrong, that's fine. I've been on YouTube for a lot of years. I've dealt with haters and trolls. You know, I'm not out here to trick anybody. I'm not out here to pump my bags. I don't care. I have confidence in what I'm doing. I know and understand, right? So, and plus, what can I do? I'm a guy on the internet with a few thousand subscribers. I really can't really move the price at all. But what I am saying is I do believe that these opportunities are going to be short-lived. And, you know, once you do have that 100,000, 250, $300 million Bitcoin, like Arthur Hayes says, are you really going to care? Are you really going to care if you accumulated at 25 or 13? See what I'm saying? And we're not going to go to 13, so don't listen to these guys. Anyway, I love you. You're awesome. You're the best. I hope you're having a wonderful middle of the day of your week. I have a very hectic week ahead of me, guys. My sister is getting married this week, and then I'm going to be doing traveling. I'm going to be all over the place, so I'm going to try to get as much content out as I can. Make sure you guys follow me on all my other social platforms, and of course, which all the links obviously are below. Please, please, please use the links below. Make sure you don't follow scammers. And if you do want to learn how to trade, check out the tutorials popping up right here, right now. You guys are awesome. You're the best. Thank you for all your support. Really, without you, I would just be talking to nobody. So thank you so much. Until next time, stay crypto, and of course, peace out.